I gave you The Trip.
Yes.
Which, right, I just need to say, before we get into it, one, yeah, it's not a very nerdy show. I'll concede to that. But two, the reason why I gave this to you is because I feel like it's the sort of shit we'd end up doing in about 15 years' time.
Yeah, okay. It's fair.
And I have a question for you about that, which I would like to ask you once you've given us your thoughts.
Okay. So The Trip is Steve Coogan and Rob Brydon. The idea of it is that Steve Coogan has been hired to write reviews for a bunch of pubs and restaurants in the UK, in the north specifically, right?
Yeah.
He at the start you find out he was going to go with his girlfriend, but she's gone to do modelling in America. He's asked a bunch of other people who have all said no, so the last person he calls is Rob Brydon, who is happy to do it.
Yep. And it's worth pointing out they're both playing fictionalised versions of themselves.
Yes, yeah. Like, massively exaggerated. Although I feel like it's based in what people think their personalities are.
Yes, definitely.
Because I feel like that's one of the points the show's trying to make.
Yeah.
But, so basically they go out on this journey, and it's Steve Coogan being this sort of miserable, not willing to meet Rob Brydon halfway, doesn't like the fact that because Rob Brydon is a famous... I don't know if our audience would know who they are.
No, you might want to explain.
Yeah, so Steve Coogan is famous for playing Alan Partridge.
Yep, he is also, it's worth noting, for our American listeners, he's in Night at the Museum.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so he's like quite famous for doing that, and Rob Brydon is, at the moment, more famous for being like a game showy sort of host, but like a comedy.
Well, he's more on panel shows, so...
Yeah, that's the one, that's what I was
I don't think they really get panel shows in America.
Yeah, maybe not. But he does a lot of impressions. He's an impressionist.
Yeah.
So, and then that's like one of the, like every time they go for meals, it ends up being a competition between the two of them where Rob Brydon will do an impression, Steve Coogan will say it's a terrible impression and try and do his own, which usually is worse.
Sometimes.
Some of them are good, but
Yeah.
and then it's him trying to like critique Rob Brydon.
Yes.
And there's an episode I think about halfway through where they specifically say Rob Brydon's like, is this just what's going to happen at every restaurant? We start the evening sort of reluctant to talk. We drink some wine and become friends. Then we drink more wine and we fall out. Which is literally what happens at every restaurant they go to in the show.
Yes.
Every time you get to the restaurant scene, it's them being friendly, or no, them being quite cold, them being friendly, them falling out.
Yes.
But it's a bit of a weird show in that there's not like there's not a storyline that you're following that you particularly care about.
No, it almost feels like at times you're just watching these two comedians improvise.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of it was written and how much was
I feel like there were
improvised,
some
but
scenes
it
that probably
feels
were.
improvised.
Because there's a couple of scenes where like you can see one of them is about to laugh or something.
Yes.
And you're like, that doesn't seem like it was in the script. Because I feel like at this point your character's meant to be annoyed.
Yes.
So mainly Steve Coogan.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's odd. Like there's the running story of Steve Coogan and his girlfriend. He tells Rob that they are on a break.
Yeah.
So he like starts trying to sleep with women at all these restaurants and does sleep with quite a few.
Yeah.
And then is also very depressed that his girlfriend's left and wants to get back with her.
And also, he's wants to crack America and is struggling to do that as well.
He's trying to get in a feature film in America.
Yeah, and he wants to be taken seriously as an actor.
Yes, which is one of the things, because they're always talking about how they're comedians, and Steve Coogan, like, the character refuses to accept that he's a comedian.
Yes.
But, I don't know, it's very strange. Like, there's a whole... Okay, so I have, like, questions about this, right?
Okay, sure.
There's a scene in, I think, episode 5, where you meet Steve Coogan's assistant in the show.
Yeah.
And she brings a photographer.
Yeah.
And it's all about Steve Coogan is trying to remember if he knows the photographer, which he later finds out he does, and they have had sex before.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Rob Brydon is having this sort of weird thing going on with the assistant.
Yeah, I noticed that. It was very odd.
But there's a scene where he literally is like, he's singing to her.
Yeah.
And then like climbs over a sofa and says, and then she's like, oh no. And he goes, oh, I've misread the signs.
Yes.
And I wasn't sure if they were trying to imply that the character was trying to sleep with her or if I was misunderstanding.
That's the impression I took from it, which did feel really out of character.
Yeah, because the whole time he's like, every night he calls his wife.
Yeah, and it's like, it's supposed to be he's happily married.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if it was meant to be that he was joking at that point.
I honestly don't know. For me, the way I interpret it was he was trying to sleep with the assistant, which, to be fair, she was banging hot. I don't blame him.
Yeah, but it felt weird for the character, and it didn't seem to.
Yeah, it almost felt like, personally, it felt like a scene that they thought was funny, and they'd maybe written it for Steve Coogan, realised that wouldn't quite work, and they didn't want to give up the scene, so they just gave it to Rob Brydon and kind of just ignored the fact that it was really out of character.
Yeah, because that scene specifically really like dragged me out of it, and I was like, I don't know what just happened.
I agree with that,
and I don't know why that happened, sort of thing.
Yeah,
because I mean, the show has no resolution at the end of it.
No, it is
they finish their trip,
yeah,
and they aren't better friends.
No.
Steve Coogan goes back to his flat and turns down a job to go to America.
Yep.
And looks very depressed in his flat, and Rob Brydon has a lovely time with his wife. And you're like, oh, okay. No one's learnt anything.
No, but it's very British in that respect, where it is just, we start miserable, we end miserable.
Yeah, but you say that, but most British shows have, like, story resolution and even if the character doesn't necessarily finish much better than he started, he usually learns some lessons.
But this doesn't have a story.
Anyone does that. But it does. I mean,
it barely has a story.
It barely has a story. But and I think that's a shame, because I think I'd have enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah.
If there was a story and stuff happening. Because a lot of times I was watching it and I just sort of like, there's like a couple of episodes where you're just like, honestly, these are just the same thing.
Yeah, it is quite repetitive. And I think if you watch it in quick succession, that's emphasised. What I was doing it,
yeah,
I watched one episode a night as I was having my dinner. So it kind of felt like I was having dinner with these people, and we were all just having a good laugh with each other.
Okay.
Like, I'd do an impression, they'd laugh.
Off the loneliness.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But it was just a nice way to have dinner with these people.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because, they're probably not going to in real life.
No, I imagine they won't.
No. But, the other thing is, for me, I could just watch them just interacting. I just found their interactions funny.
It is really, it's funny. Don't get me wrong. Like, the scenes of them, like, falling out over dinner.
Yeah.
Are brilliant. Like, the first episode, they're both doing an impression. I can't remember of who. And they're
Michael
just getting
Caine.
louder. Oh, yeah, and they're just both getting so loud.
Yeah.
And, like, the whole time you're like, everyone in this restaurant must be hating it. And they have a scene where Steve Coogan suddenly just goes like, hey, you're being over the top, stop it. And it, like, cuts to, like, the restaurant sort of just sitting there quietly.
Yes.
And I was like, that's pretty good.
One of the other things that I love is, anyone that knows Rob Brydon would probably know that he has this thing he can do where it's called the little man in the box.
Oh, I love Little Man.
And it's this like vocal trick. It's worth YouTubing if you've not seen it before. And one of the recurring themes is Steve Coogan trying to figure out how he does it.
Oh, yeah. And he just can't.
Yeah, and I love that. It's just scenes of Steve Coogan in his bathroom looking at himself in the mirror, just failing at doing this weird vocal trick.
Yeah.
It's an odd show.
It is. And also there's drug taking in it. Like,
yep.
It starts lightly with Steve Coogan just having a joint one night.
Yep.
And then like 2 episodes later he's like doing lines of coke. And you're like, I don't know what's happening anymore.
No, it's like I said, it's a pretty laid back show. But yeah, it's an odd one, because I agree, it does get repetitive, and I think it starts stronger than it ends. I think the first 2 episodes are fantastic, and then you're like, I get what they're doing.
Yeah, very much so.
There is a sequel called The Trip to Italy.
Yes, I saw that. It was going to autoplay on my Netflix, and I was like, I won't watch that till after the show.
Yeah, same. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it because I want to see what changes or what they've decided to do.
Yeah, same. But yeah, so out of 5?
I think I'd give it a 3.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. It wasn't the greatest thing.
No. And
I don't think I'd ever go back and rewatch the first series.
No, and it was one of those things where I was just struggling to give you something to recommend, because...
yeah, you were, yeah.
I was limited by Netflix, and you've already seen a lot of the stuff that I would have recommended to you, which I think we discussed in the last episode.
Yeah, we watch a lot of stuff that the other person has already seen. Like, we're basically just podcasting what we used to do anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's just now we also have like a time pressure to do it, where it's like, I need to come up with the show by this episode.
Yeah.
But that's going to be changing soon.
Well, before we say that, did you want to ask me a question?
Oh, yes. Well remembered, Jack.
Don't worry, that's what I'm here for.
As I said at the start, I feel like the trip is kind of like what me and you would end up doing in 15 years' time.
Yeah.
Okay? Which character do you think we would each be?
Okay, so when I went into it,
yeah,
when you first suggested it to me, I did a little bit of like, I looked up, we were talking about it and we looked up on Wikipedia, and the picture of them both is Rob Brydon sort of laughing quite happily and Steve Coogan looking very annoyed.
Yes.
So from that respect, right, I would say that I would be the Steve Coogan character.
Yeah.
But after watching it, I feel like I might be the Rob Brydon character.
And why do you think that?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I just feel like I can see you.
Yeah.
You're the kind of person that I could see fixating on things and being like... I mean, you want to go out to America.
Yes.
And you'd like to make it big.
Yes.
Whereas I'm like quite happy to just sort of do what I'm doing and just be happy.
Yeah. I asked my girlfriend this question after showing her a couple of episodes, and her response perfectly summed it up, where she said to me, I think you think of yourself as the Steve Coogan character, but you're more like the Rob Brydon character, and Jack's the Steve Coogan character.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if that's just because I've got a girlfriend that if I was on a trip, I'd have to ring up at night, and you've got the freedom and luxury to be going around having these...
stare into mirrors, being like, I'm a little man in a box.
Yeah, but you've also got the freedom and luxury to potentially get with these women.
I feel like if you're idolising Steve Coogan's character in that, Liam, you're sorely mistaken. He is definitely the most depressed.
That is a good point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see it being us one day.
Yep, yep.
And I don't think that's a bad thing to aim for.
No, well, I guess. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see when we get there.
See. 15 years from now, we'll do a comeback tour.
Hey, we might still be doing the podcast 15 years from now.
I hope. If we are, we should do a series of episodes where we go and try restaurants.
I'm well down for that.
Nice.
So, we're changing things.
We are.
Now, don't get worried. Don't get scared.
Everything's gonna be different.
We're not changing it that much. Let's not panic, our dear listeners.
What's that? You wanted 2 hosts, now you've got 7.
We're called the Council of Elrond. No, things are changing, but for the better.
We think so.
We know so. We're the ones in control.
We are in control, that's true.
So, Jack, what's going to be different?
So, from this point onwards, this is like... So, these first 6 episodes have been like our little trial arc, if you will.
They're like our intro to Attack on Titan.
Yeah, they're the first 6 episodes where you've all sort of been like, oh, I really like the secondary characters like Jack, but that main character, Liam, bit of a dickhead.
Don't think I'm the main character.
No, I don't think either of us are. I think we both might be side characters in someone else's life.
Yeah, probably.
But, so, from now on, we'll be doing... Instead of doing our usual, I suggest something for Liam to watch, he suggests something for me to watch, we sort of think that means we lose a lot of the discussion.
Yeah, I think we lose a bit of the flow because suddenly one person has to do a lot of describing and the other person has to sit there patiently listening.
Yeah, so from now on, what we'll be doing is having one thing every 2 weeks. And so, like, that doesn't necessarily mean, you know, something that neither of us have seen. It can still be something that one of us has seen, the other one hasn't, or something that's old that we both want to do.
But
it also means
that
the listeners, you listeners, can suggest us stuff that you want us to watch, that you think we would be interested in talking about.
And you know, it can be something that we haven't ever seen before. All we have to do is we have to have some sort of interest in seeing it for whatever reason.
Yeah, don't suggest us that paint drying film, because I'll be honest with you, I don't have the time to put into that.
And, you know, if you're going to suggest something, try and just, one sentence, sell us on why we should watch it.
Yeah.
Because I'm imagining, the amount of listeners we've got, we're going to be fucking flooded with suggestions.
Oh, it's going to be non-stop, mate. I'm going to be sorting that inbox. Whew.
So, try and stand out, and just have fun. You know, the show's not getting shorter, because if anything, at the moment, we've got the problem of we go on too bloody long.
We're overrunning.
We go on too bloody long. Don't know if you noticed, because it's a bloody good episode, but the last one went 4 minutes over our target. So yeah, we want you to get involved. How can you do that, you might ask? Jack's got the info.
Alright, well, if you want to get in contact with us and send us your ideas, you can always email us at nerdonnerdpod@gmail.com, or you can tweet us at nerdonnerd.
And we're excited to hear the things that you want us to talk about.
Yes, very much so.
I'm excited to see what you come up with, to be honest.
It's going to be interesting. This is the new era of Nerd on Nerd.
We're entering a world of possibilities. Right, so, next week, we're having a bit of a special Valentine's Day episode.
Yay.
Love is in the air.
Woo.
Do, 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 do. Love is in the air.
Well, copyright infringement.
Fuck it. Right, love is in the air. Not just between me and Jack, but we're having, for the first time ever, a special guest.
We're having a threesome.
With my girlfriend.
Woo!
So, Kat's going to be joining us. She's recommended a graphic novel, Volume 1 of Nailbiter. And she set us a challenge, Jack. I don't know if you're aware of this.
I'm not.
She has set us a challenge. She has said that for the Valentine's Day episode, we have to figure out where the romance is in this graphic novel.
Is this because Kat is trying to cop out of the fact that I told her she had to be able to spuriously connect it to romance?
Yep.
Nice.
That's exactly what happened.
Great. So it's up to me and you to find the romance in it.
Yeah, whereas we could have been watching something like The Notebook or The OC.
Instead, we're going to read a graphic novel and the whole time have to be like, where is the romance?
Yeah, what was that game where it's all about pigeons finding love?
Oh, Hatter something boyfriend?
We could have been playing that.
Hatterful boyfriend.
Hatterful boyfriend. We could have been doing any of those things, but instead, we're reading Nailbiter.
No, I'm looking forward to this challenge. I'm accepting that challenge. I'm going to find the romance in it.
Okay. So yeah, we're still sticking with the hour-long format, but this time, Culture Swap is just going to be one thing that we're both going to discuss.
And next week, all three of us will be discussing.
Of course. And I'm hoping that by having this this luxury of time, we're going to be able to start digging a little bit deeper into these things as well.
I mean, to be fair, we already dig quite deep. It's just that we do it for so long that you don't hear some of it, listeners.
Exactly. I mean, we've got a time limit to keep to.
You missed out on Liam's great deep look into all the Attack on Titan lore. Oh, you guys missed that. You're not going to hear it.
You missed my fantastic critical discussion on the clothing choices. Why are the Titans naked? If you'd have heard, you'd know.
Yep. Can't believe you guys missed that. Such a shame.
Anyway, I think that about wraps it up for this episode, doesn't it?
I think it does.
Do the outro.
Alright, fine. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Nerd on Nerd. I've been Jack Kempster. Sort of leaving you a gap so you could say your name if you want.
You normally say my name for me at the end, at the outro bit.
You said it, the way you said it then made it sound like it's like a small child. You usually say my name for me. I forget.
I could do it if you want me to. But...
No, I'll do it. I can never remember how I do this. Alright, fine. Got it. Loosen the shoulders. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Nerd on Nerd. I've been Jack Kempster. He's been Liam Underwood. And if you want to get in contact with us, you can tweet us at Nerd on Nerd or email us at nerdonnerdpod@gmail.com. Also, don't forget that we're on iTunes and we really want you guys to review us. Not even necessarily 5 stars. We know we don't always earn 5 stars. 4 stars. That's fine. I mean, if you drop into 3, maybe have a look at it and just go, do they want a 3-star one? I'll bump it up to 4 for them because they're nice. And we've got a question for you guys. If you've had any experience playing D&D, let us know how it went. Give Liam some advice. Tell us your stories. We want to hear it. And maybe we'll read some of them out next episode. Bye.
Bye!